Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Frankly Speaking on Fridays podcast. I am your host, Frank Pedor. It is April 13th, 2023. April 13th. Frank, wait a second. Doesn't that mean it's a Thursday? Yes, it is. Why? Because, well, we'll get into that. Now, it's been a long time. And when I say a long time, I mean 3 months. The last episode which aired was January 8th, 2023. It was the very first podcast of the year. So here we are 3 months later, literally 1/4 of the way through the year. And here is the next podcast. Now, there was a part of me that was kind of initially planning to have a little bit of a break so that I could maybe, sequence some things, maybe add in an intro with some music, maybe some outro music with some space and time to be able to add in potential sponsorships or thank guests more intimately, etc., etc. Guess what? All of that got thrown out the window. Why? I'll tell you in a little bit. But first, let's talk about you. Let us cheer you up, because apparently I have 3 months worth to cheer you up, and I'll be honest with you, I'm quite tired. It was a long day today, and the fact that I'm pushing myself now in order to be able to pre-record this so that it comes out on Friday, that's the whole purpose. Get into that habit of pre-recording it the night before so that I don't have to worry about it when I come home from work, already tired, having to hastily go ahead, record this, edit it, and then upload it. No, night before, I can come home, relax a little bit, feed the cats, have some food, and then get to streaming. There's a little bit of the plan there. So, here we are now, trying to enforce it, trying to get back into the FSOF podcast, which you can email at fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Send me, articles of interest, topics to suggest, or just say hello, because it has been that long. No, the podcast is not dead, and this is testimony to that. I hereby testify that the podcast, the FSOF podcast, is not dead. And I'm sure I insulted someone with that. Sorry. I'm slap happy. It's been a long day. It's been a long 3 months, as I'm sure it has been for everyone. So again, let's get back to you. How have you been? How has those New Year's resolutions been? What have you been up to? Have you been doing those workouts? Have you started that diet? Have you been drinking more water? Have you been going to bed earlier, getting 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night? Have you cut back a little bit on your drinking? What have you been up to? Tell me. Tell me, and I hope it's been good, because you know what? You deserve it. You deserve to see yourself in better light through your eyes. You deserve to be that, a couple of pounds lighter if that's what you want. Maybe if you want to be a couple of pounds heavier, you know what? You can do that. Do and create yourself in the image that you best see yourself being. And I'm having difficulty with that myself. It's difficult to try to empower yourself. It is difficult to find that motivation. And once you have it, what's even more difficult is keeping that momentum going. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort to be able to build yourself up, to be able to have that self-confidence, to be able to see yourself as beautiful, to look at yourself in the mirror, in your own eyes, or the reflection, and say, you know what? I love you. I love me. That's difficult. There is a lot of pressure nowadays for us, a lot of outside circumstances beyond our control, through jobs, stress, life, work, society. There's a lot that can bog and weigh us down, and to have us perceive ourself as unworthy, undesirable. And it's not true. It is difficult to get past that. But I'm here to tell you, I'm in the same boat. It's difficult for me. I've gained weight. I'm over 200 pounds now. I'm not happy about it, but that's where I am. And I know I need to get back on the treadmill. I know I need to eat better. I know what I need to do, but it's difficult finding that motivation, that energy that's needed. My God, is it needed to put it forth and then to create the person that I know that I can be, that I want to be, that I look in the reflection. I'm like, you know what? You look as great as I feel. And that's not even trying to be egotistical. That's not trying to be, oh man, I am the best and only I am. No. That is, you know what? I feel good on the inside and on the outside. And it shows. The confidence is there. That's not egotistical. That's not being selfish. That's being empowering. That's putting yourself first in a positive way. And we all need to aspire to do that. But just a little bit more. Maybe a lot more. So, I hope from the most central region, bottom of my heart, fully, that you are doing great. And you are working on those goals, and you are hopefully seeing them through to the best of your ability. So, with that said, as always, as I commemorate these podcasts and my streams with a shot, this is episode 54 of the FSOF podcast. It's good to be back. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. I will explain it right now. I don't have a shot glass, but I do have this Amsterdam raspberry in my studio, so I'm just going to take a swig out of it. I don't think anyone will mind. So, here's to you, my dear listeners. Here's to me, asshole in the room with a microphone, and to episode 54 of the FSOF podcast. Not bad. So, you might be asking yourself, Frank, where the hell have you been? And I would say, good question. And then I would walk away. No. I will try to summarize this to the best of my ability, because it's not really worth going into all of the details. I'll go into some, but none which would be incriminating to myself, other parties involved, and then just other things, miscellaneous and what have you, which has happened. I'm not sure if I will have an article for this. I think I'll just catch you up, and then we'll see how long it goes. So maybe I will have to add a little bit more details. So, I'm trying to remember 3 months worth of crap. So here's the thing, is that as it stands right now, my roommate, Queen Shelby, also known as Shelby, and I both have new jobs. Again, I know. With that said, we are both out of the insurance industry. Awesome. Holy bejeebums. Awesome. How did that come to be? Well, Shelby found a new job for a music company, and she's thrilled about it. When she went to go, she accepted the, this job, and its start date, and training, and this and that. She did her due diligence, and she wrote out her 2-week notice and submitted it. And that very day, she was terminated. So, she was unemployed for 2 weeks, and she wasn't at the job long enough in order to be able to collect unemployment. So then comes to me. I a little bit jealous of her being out of the insurance industry, being in the field, or at least an industry which she knows, she loves, she respects. Awesome, without a doubt. And the fact that this came along for her to be able to do so. For her to be able to find a job and accept a position that she can be happy with, rather than just having to settle what is best right now because money. She wasn't happy with being in the insurance industry, and neither was I. The only reason that her and I went into the insurance industry was because of the pandemic. Because we were able to work, train, and get certified and licensed all from home. And the opportunities were abundant because of having our licenses. So then comes to me. Yeah, like I said, I was a little bit jealous. She was out of the insurance industry. And the longer that I was within the insurance industry and the longer that I worked at my previous place of employment, the more unhappy that I was becoming. And here's why. The only way for me to have advanced within that office was to essentially take the program which would allow me then to become an agent and then run my own business. And that bothered me because there was literally no other growth within that office. It was so small, and it wasn't trying to grow. It was simply just trying to maintain. Given the position of that agent, that company owner, it makes sense. Given someone who was in their early 30s, I felt as if I was settling. I would be settling for the sake of money, doing something which I was not entirely happy about. The more that I did it, I would be unhappy. And the fact that there was no room, no place to grow or excel or be promoted or anything of that nature, and raises would only be every so often, if that. So it was basically a dead end. And the more that that thought lingered in my head, the more that I knew that I was just essentially just doing it for money. Essentially just whoring myself out for the sake of sustainability. And while there are some people who are able to force themselves to be okay with that, I'm not one of them. I guess I wear my emotions on my sleeve, as the saying goes. So with that said, I was driving on my way to work, and one morning, and I guess that thought, that frame of mind just solidified. And the closer that I approached work, the more unhappy that I was becoming, the more dread filled my body. So I called Shelby. She was in training at the time for her job, and she was maybe 6 or some minutes away before starting her shift. And I asked her, no, she was like 20 minutes before starting her shift. And I sent her a text, and I said, hey, if I were to quit right now, would I have your support? Would this be okay with you if I did so? And she called me, and we talked, and she's known me for a while now. And she already knew what I was going to do, no matter what she said. And she just wanted to say, that things are going to be difficult financially if you do this. And I said, yes, I know. She said, okay, so long as you know that. So because I didn't want to risk being fired, on the same day of putting in a 2-week notice, because God knows I would not have been able to. The last 2 weeks, I just kind of walked in with my credentials in order to log into my computer, my terminal, and I put the hours which were owed to me, and I put down my key, and I left. Came back home, and I started applying for other potential jobs. Now, I will say this much. I didn't do this without any type of prospect potentially ready. I know the more responsible thing would have been to put in my 2 weeks. The more responsible thing would have been to have another job lined up. Yes, I know. I get it. All these thoughts have gone through my head even before I called Shelby, and those thoughts went through my head even a week or two prior to that. Yes, I understand that. But like I said, I am not going to force myself to be in an unhappy position if I can help it. So here are the other things that were on the plate that were going for me already before I did this. Thing number one was that I was already an interview or two in with another potential job outlooks, perspective. I already, through the agency, had a call back with a major agency out of Chicago. I had those two things going for me. When I applied for more jobs that morning when I came back home, I was already getting hits. I think I had like 4 or 5 things potentially going my way simultaneously. It wasn't as if I was just doing it out of nowhere with nothing potentially lined up. So, I quit. I was unemployed for a little while, but all my own choice, all my own fault, whatever, however you want to look at that. The job that I'm now working and acquired has me back in the radio industry. Not necessarily as an on-air talent. I'm doing other things in another department which still serves and benefits the radio station. I'm not going to say which one, just because don't worry about it, but I am back in the radio industry. I am doing something which is different, which is cool, and I still get to be utilized every so often in a different way for the station, for my voice to be heard on air. And it already has twice. So, and I'm making more, and I have full benefits. Something which the previous job would not be able to match whatsoever. So it was a huge risk. Again, irresponsible. Burning bridges, potentially. Actually, probably, most definitely. But it was a huge risk for a great gain. And I'm so happy that it worked out in my favor, because it easily could not have. But I had to do what was best for myself, and continuing that job would have been a huge devastation to my mental health. So, that's where that stands. Now, I mentioned previously with the agency that I had a callback. Well, lo and behold, I actually, last month, there was 2 auditions. There wasn't one in February just because of scheduling or what have you, but there were 2 in the month of March. One of them was on Saturday 4th, and the other one was on Saturday the 25th. The fun thing about Saturday the 25th was that Shelby and I, along with our friend Avenger, who's been on, my Fapism streaming channel, twitch.tv/fapismplace. We went to the Lexington Comic-Con, and I had I had to do an audition for the showcase for the agency, and I had to do it in Lexington at the Comic-Con, outside of my studio, with none of my equipment, none of my nothing. So, Comic-Cons are loud. I somehow was able to find the most quiet place possible. And Shelby was to look out to make sure no one would come by, and if they were, to try and quiet them. And then Brandon was actually my camera guy. And I had my AirPods in my ears to act as just, both listening and the microphone. And I did my audition at Comic-Con. So that was on Saturday. On Monday, I get an email from my agent saying, hey, you got a call back. So I got 2 callbacks in a row, which is awesome, which is cool. We'll see what comes of that. Always have to be a little bit hopeful, but also realistic about how these things go. So there was that. Oh, and as some of you may or may not know, Comic-Cons has a bunch of celebrities and this and that, and next time I have Shelby on the podcast, I'll have her tell her perspective of the Lexington Comic-Con, who she met, and her experiences with her celebrities that she met. But one of the individuals that was there that I wanted to meet is W. Earl Brown. And some of you may know that name, some of you may not. Probably one of the most mainstream things that he did was on The Last of Us Part 1, the video game. He was Bill. So that's cool. But to me, I know him because he is Dan Doherty in HBO's original series Deadwood. And if you don't know what that show is, check it out. It's great. It's not for everyone, though, because it is a slow political Western drama. It's not for everyone, and I understand that. I'm even surprised that I like it. But almost every other word is bitch or cocksucker or fucker or cunt. Like, it's anything and everything is said in that show. And because of how vulgar it was, when I presented to Mr. Brown the Deadwood photo that he had displayed as one that could be selected from, he asked me, am I allowed to use my full fucking vocabulary, which is a reference to the show from another character played by Jim Beaver, I believe is his name, who plays Ellsworth. And he writes on here, now I'm looking at it right now, the autograph and the picture, just because I don't have it like framed in a picture frame. But he writes, to Frank, best fucking wishes, you cocksucker. W. Earl Brown, Dan F.N. Doherty. And I think that's awesome. I got called a cocksucker by a celebrity. I'm not even mad. I love it. That's fantastic. And along with it, he told a very great story about a particular fight scene that he was involved in with a character in season 2. So I am thrilled. It was a great day. Went to Lexington, saw a friend, had some great food, met some awesome celebrities, had a successful audition, spent a little bit of money. Like, it was everything that Comic-Con should be, We didn't dress up, but we had a good time. Yeah, so let's see. Jobs, Lexington, that. Oh, there's another thing which will be happening, which shouldn't really affect the podcast at all. But it's going to affect me and several other aspects of me. Oh, I've also been taking vocal lessons, like singing lessons, like operatic singing lessons. So I've been doing that as well, and that is fun and awesome. I should have gotten into, like, I took singing lessons in high school, but I probably should have kept up with it. It might have been a lost calling. I don't know, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm making good progress. Especially with my teacher. I have an awesome teacher. Oh, he's great. Anyway, so not tomorrow, but the following week, the 21st, I'll actually be having surgery. What kind of surgery? Well, I have that paperwork right here. I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to be having. Reaching. So, no, it's nothing serious. I'm not dying. I'm okay. Or at least I'm not dying faster than what I am anticipated to, naturally. Anyway, no, I'm having nose surgery. Nose surgery? Why? I'll tell you. It's actually the second time that I've had this surgery. I kid you not. I had it well over a decade ago initially, when I was a child. And what the surgery is a septoplasty and a turbinectomy. That's what I got initially. So a septoplasty is just, you know, correcting a deviated septum, and a turbinectomy is there's like a spongy material within your nose that kind of acts as like a humidifier for the outside air going into your lungs and your body, and it just kind of like warms it up as spongy material. And mine are enlarged to the point where it's blocking off airway to me, and it's problematic, especially when you have sleep apnea. It causes your CPAP machine to be less effective. There have been so many nights these past months, probably more than, where I breathe through my nose generally. And with allergy season coming back, and especially with how wonky the weather has been, between cold and warm and cold and warm in Indiana, my allergies were going nuts. And there would be times where I just make simple minor adjustments while trying to fall asleep, and my nose would just react in the most horrible way, and I was not able to breathe through it at all. And I felt as if I was drowning or suffocating with my CPAP mask on. Even removing it, still couldn't really breathe. You would think you breathe better, considering the fact that you have air pressure being forced into your face. So it's just bad. So luckily with the insurance that I have, this procedure got approved. There's also another thing that they'll be doing for me. Let's see. So yeah, the nasal sinus surgery. Where's the other thing? So they're doing those two things. They're doing one other thing. I wish I can find the correct term for it. That's my shopping list that I need to get. Shampoo and bathe. Yeah, I got it. Nights. Maybe it's still in my briefcase. Anyway, the other thing that they're going to be doing for me, since I can't give you the technical term for it, since I seem to be losing it amongst this paperwork here, is that they're essentially going to be putting in like a little balloon on one of my nerve endings in my nose. And what that's going to do is that's going to force a reduction of mucus, because I've been having like 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, post-nasal drip, always, and it's gross. And I'm sure you've noticed it on the podcast. There are times where my vocalization, my tonality is more nasally than probably what it should be. And I know for a fact that when I do recordings and I'm editing things, there's like phlegm popping, because there's just that much that constantly keeps going. So, after this surgery, next Friday, it's going to be an unfortunate recovery. Oh, God, a lot of mucus, a lot of fluids having to go into my nose and out of my nose. But after it's all said and done, I will be able to breathe better. I should be able to sleep better with my CPAP machine. I should be able to sing better and even sound better because of the less nasally quality, phlegmy quality, which will be found in my voice. So it's going to take a couple of weeks to a month, at the very latest, too, for me to be quote-unquote fully recovered. But it's going to be worth it. And it's also going to be done in a way which is more permanent. Because when I got this done initially, like 15, 16 years ago or something, maybe 17, I was not fully grown. I was a teenager. So I was still needing to grow into my body, which is why everything just got uncorrected. And also, with a decade later, the surgical practicing of this has gotten a lot better and more effective. So it should be certainly more permanent and easier. So I think that is all the catching up that has been happening. Yeah. Still going headstrong with the agency. Got callbacks for it. Shelby and I are out of the insurance industry. We're both in industries that we respect and admire and love, and we're both making more than what we were previously. We went to Comic-Con, had an awesome time. We're still playing our musical instruments. I'm getting surgery. Yeah, that basically does it for like major updates and what have you. Now, I know that I said I'm going to be implementing, more quote-unquote modernized, I don't want to say modernized, which is something which is like segmented, here's the intro, let's hype you up, let's talk about me, let's maybe read an article, let's maybe do poetry segments, let's maybe, I don't know. I still want to revamp, and unfortunately, my mind has been scattered to many different places simultaneously, and it's been difficult trying to find the energy and the mentality to solidify those changes. So now that I'm trying to get back into it, I'll see what I can do. I've been listening to other podcasts as well, actually. I've been listening to the Bears Down Chicago podcasts, which if you're a Bears fan or even just a football fan, or if you hate the Bears, listen to the Bears Down Chicago podcast. Just because their format and layout is neat and it makes sense and it's cool. But also there's like 3 to 4 dudes talking about one subject, more or less. And they even have special guests on as well. So I don't want to say I want to verbatim replicate that type of format. I want something a little more similar so that I'm able then to not only come on the podcast with a little more structure and something more planned out rather than just a random topic. Like, oh, let's talk about this because it's in the news, which I suppose is also fine too. But I guess I want to, I need to find my niche with this podcast. And I think I'm coming close to it, but I'm not there just yet. But suggestions are always welcomed. Again, fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you maybe want out of this podcast. What do you want from me? Yeah, let me know. fsofpodcast@gmail.com. So, that's what's been going on. And while it doesn't seem like a lot, as you all know, like, a lot is forgot every single day of details and emotions and thoughts and feelings. So now you compound that by 3 months and oof, a lot has happened. A lot. I'm even leaving things out too because they're not necessarily for you to know. Not really. Some of it's personal, some of it's family stuff, some of it is things in development which I do not wish to speak of just yet. Oh, but it's in the works. It's in the works. I suppose I could pull up an article real quick. I know that at least within the video game world, a lot is going on. I know that God of War Ragnarok has had an update recently, which allows New Game Plus and some other new material, outfits rather, and burdens is what they're called. So people have been having fun with those. I'm not sure what else is going on, actually. Resident Evil 4 Remake came out. Looks awesome. There's some more modern mechanics which are involved with that. Yeah, I don't know. A lot has happened. A lot's been going on. Again, I'll have something a little more planned out. I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to unwind a little bit from a long day, and I guess me being a little more proactive in creating this podcast, it was a part of that. But I want to get you all caught up as to what has been happening, why I've been gone. And while, yes, I could have been doing the podcast the entire time, but like I said in the beginning of this, when you're in a certain place, it's hard to muster that energy and that want to make it happen. I wasn't in the right space. I was unhappy. And then, of course, I was conflicted because, yeah, I quit the job, which was making me unhappy, but now I caused this financial burden upon myself, which also made me unhappy. So there was kind of no winning there. But if I'm doing the podcast now, I'm feeling more on the up and up. So I won't do an article. You know what? I'll just leave it here. I got you all caught up. Be on the lookout for more. I'll be doing my best to enforce this habit of recording on Thursday. Podcast comes out on Friday on an automatic schedule that I will implement. Email me, fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Again, just say hello. Let me know what you want from the podcast. If there's a certain type of structure that you can recommend. Otherwise, let me know of topics of interest or topics to suggest or articles of interest for me to research and read and talk about and discuss here on the FSOF podcast. That'll be great. No sponsors today, other than me sponsoring my own podcast. Well, that's basically been it. It's been an interesting ride. And, as the title of this podcast is, Life is Strange. Life is very strange. And I don't think it will ever stop. 31 years old, I see this not stopping of being strange. It might get a little more stable, but I think it will always be strange. And I think we just have to accept and anticipate that. Really, really be aware of the if in life. So, thank you all so much for your patience, for your understanding, for your support. It's always a pleasure to talk to you all, or talk at you, rather. I hope you're getting something out of this. Again, like I said many podcasts ago, even if you just listen through for the hype you up portion, awesome. I hope you listen more than that. But, I hope you get something out of this. Even if it's just a little smile. That's enough for me. Anyway, thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. I hope you're making progress. And I will be back next week. And by the time that you're listening to next week's podcast, I will be coming out of surgery, drugged and snot running out of my nose. A lovely image, I know. More will be coming to you. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening to the FSOF podcast. And until next time, good night, sweet dreams, and au revoir.